We'd like to thank our sponsor, Purina Pro Plan, Fuel for Life. More sporting dog champions feed Pro Plan than any other brand of dog food. Welcome back to another episode of Save It for the Blind. I am Jeff Smith, and we're going to do a little recap of duck season thus far. So kind of talking about the last couple of weeks, opening day until closing of October. Now we're headed into November. Hopefully a little weather change and something happens to spruce this season up. So going to talk about California waterfowl properties first. Overall opener, it was good. It wasn't the best openers that we've ever had. There was definitely some shining lights in there. But first, we're going to go over our Butte Sink areas, in particular Sanborn Slough. Overall for the season, that's shooting a 3.16 bird average, and kind of surprising. American wigeon is our number one bird there, followed up by green-winged teal and wood ducks. Wood ducks is actually our number two bird, with green-winged teal being the third. So opener was pretty decent, about a 5.1 bird average. Even Sunday was in the fours. And then after that, up until our last shoot date in October, the best shoot day after the Sunday was a 3.18 bird average. So definitely not terrible. Pretty decent for the month to start off. We had a lot of birds using the property up until duck season, and then quite a few of them left, and that's typically normal. But the amount that we had out there prior to the waterfowl opener was pretty impressive. And things happen, and you lose some birds, but our hunters still had some successful hunts. So we look forward to the season. I think it's going to be an awesome season with the pintail limit being raised and the mallard numbers being up. Lots of birds obviously up north in Klamath, etc. But the last week or so we've had 80-degree days with no wind, so it makes duck hunting a little bit tougher. Now going across the parking lot over to Butte Creek Island Ranch, a little bit slower than normal. Usually earlier in the season, we really harvest a lot of wood ducks in the past. So on the opener, we're shooting a 2.3, 2.6 bird average. So we're right under a 2 so far. Some things have changed, but, the wood duck numbers weren't as high as years in the past where, typically our first couple shoot days or weeks of hunting season, we would shoot, 80 plus wood ducks. So we're at 30 right now. It's still our number one bird, but usually later in the seasons when we get all the other birds, typically December on, where we see a lot more mallards and sprig and things like that, and the geese start kind of using that area as a loaf. So that one's been a slight disappointment there, but there's really nothing flooded near that property right now. The rice to the west of it is kind of just now getting water, so that typically holds a lot of birds for us. And then, one of the properties to the south of us isn't flooded either, so it is kind of just a little island out there by itself. So with those factors, the low bird usage is understandable. So going down to the Suisun Marsh, I was down there for the opener, helping run some of our hunts down there and training some employees, and it wasn't a terrible opener by no means. Grizzly Ranch had a couple really good shoot days so far. So it's shooting above a 3 bird average. Opener was really strong at a 4.5 bird average. Green-winged teal is leading the way in all categories there. But we even had a couple good shoots after the opener, supporting a 3.5 bird average one day, a 4. And then the other bird averages were about a 2, which is very, very normal for this type of point of the season. So Grizzly Ranch is off to a good start so far. We do have 2 other properties now in the Suisun Marsh. One of them that we've owned is our Demerton property. A little bit slower, shooting about a 2.36 bird average out there right now. When we were out there on the opener, it just didn't seem like there was the big barrages that typically you would hear on the opener. They did shoot a 2.8 bird average. Bird quality was good, with green-winged teal and mallards being the top birds. There was a lot of geese, Canada geese out there on the property. which we didn't see that necessarily in the harvest, but prior to opener the day before, definitely number one bird. Number 1 and 2 birds were Canada geese and mallards, but didn't necessarily see that on the strap. So we did acquire a property next door, which is called Potrero. Very first year, very first hunts that we're just trying to figure it all out. So it's shooting slightly under a 2-bird average. Those are all first come, first serve opportunities that we do have there. Number 1 bird there is mallard right now. So not a huge surprise. There was a bunch sitting on the property. It's portions of the property are a little bit more mallardy, where it's cattails and tules. It's not so much open water. Now, so we do have some of those blinds that are open water blinds, but some of them that we are hunting are more that kind of mallard type hole. So moving on from the Suisun Marsh, we're going to go down to Quimby Island. This has probably been the biggest surprise so far. Typically our highest producing property with the quality and quantity of birds. Been a little slow to start. We're not fully flooded out there. So, we're shooting a 1.6 bird average so far throughout the season. Historically, it's been a lot higher than that. So just circumstances there. We anticipate that really kind of ramping up as the season progresses, but pretty surprising on that one, considering the number of mallards and things like that are out there on the landscape, and we just didn't see them down there. And then our last property, which was kind of our shining star, was our Goose Lake Badger Almond property down in Kern County. So they actually shot the best on the opener with a 5.9 bird average, which is really cool. Cinnamon teal is the number 1 bird down there. So if you've never have harvested one and you want one for the wall or just to check it off the list, applying for some of those hunts at Goose Lake are pretty awesome. But usually, depending on the year, we've had years where cinnamon teal is the number 1 bird, where hundreds are shot out there. So very cool property, open 2 days a week. And this one's unique, where if you are drawn down there, you are able to hunt all day. And we also release pheasants through a partnership with the state grants, upland grants, where we release pheasants at 10 o'clock each day. So typically people will go out, duck shoot till 9:30 or so, go out to the pheasant fields, shoot, go eat some lunch, and then they'll go back out for the afternoon shoot. So overall, that property is shooting at a 3-bird average. After opener, it's kind of dwindled down in terms of the hunting success there, but that's really typical during that part of the year. Also have some of the other statistics for SoCal. We have the Imperial Valley or Worcester. Opener there was decent. They had a 3.27 bird average. After that, they were looking a little bit above a bird and a half bird average since the opener. San Jacinto, kind of the same way, shot a 2.68 bird average, and then since then has shot about a bird and a half or so since that. And this is all pretty normal. So coming up next, we are talking with a couple of other managers and folks that work at Refuges. So we've got the Suisun Marsh area, Yolo, then the Upper Butte Basin, of kind of what they've seen on the landscape, hunter success, etc. So we're going to welcome those folks here in a second, but just want to say, hope everyone had a fun and safe opening weekend, and I hope October treated everyone well, and just want to say, continue supporting California waterfowl. Hope everyone has been out there and been able to try to shoot their 3 sprig limit, but here is the next part of the show with our guests. All right, we have a special guest, the manager over at Yolo Wildlife Area, Garrett Spann. He's been on the podcast before, gave us a quick little update prior to waterfowl season. But Garrett, October is behind us. What have you guys seen down in the Yolo Basin so far?
Yeah, we had a great opener. We had really good numbers of birds prior to opening day, and the numbers showed. I think they ended up with close to a 5-bird, right at a 5-bird average for opening day, and then followed up with like a 3.2 average on Sunday. So it was a good opener. Top bird being green-winged teal, followed closely by northern shoveler. One big surprise that I saw was the lack of pintail. So
really?
prior to opening day, pintail was by far the number one duck on the wildlife area. And there's plenty of green wings and shovelers, good numbers of mallards, and sprinklings of wigeon and gadwall. But I don't know, guns went off Saturday morning and the pintail left because they were not represented all that well in the harvest on the opener. So we expected 100 to 200 pintail on the opener, and I think we ended up with like 80 something pintail for the opener. And mallards too, we expected to be up over 100, and it was like 70 something. So I don't know exactly what happened there, but the green wings and shovelers, they were around.
Have you seen since the opener any uptick in pintail harvest at all?
Not really. I mean, we pretty much, like I said, we probably had close to 60,000 ducks on the property. Opening day came. Went out. I mean, we were probably then dropped down to 15,000 birds after the opener. So they definitely just scattered. And we're seeing influxes here and there. We're seeing more pintail, and we're starting to flood up rice, and we're starting to see the pintail starting to hit that and congregate in some of the sanctuaries. But I wouldn't say we're seeing more from a harbor standpoint. White fronts are starting to show up. But I don't know where they went. I know, up north they're seeing good numbers of pintail in those closed zones. But we saw a dramatic shift in pintail after the opener.
Yeah, on our properties, there wasn't ever there was some taken, but yeah, there wasn't a lot. So I think Sanborn was our top pintail harvest on the opener in terms of up until this point now. But yeah, pretty heavy on the green wings, spoons, especially for our properties there in the Sassoon Marsh. But yeah, it makes you wonder where the heck they all go for the most part. I just thought, especially even like some of the rice guys and stuff, like, the 3 pintail would be pretty easy. I've shot in 3 pintail once. Now, granted, I've barely hunted this season, but it was a little odd after shooting 2. I was like, this doesn't feel right. And then I shot 3, and I was like, feels really weird. But I can get used to that.
Yeah, no, that's a good thing. It's a positive in the blind.
Have you been out personally yet?
Yeah, I've been out a couple times. I went out opening day and never fired my gun, which was a nice start to the season. Didn't have huge expectations, but it was more of just hunting with some good friends and family pretty much. And so it's just an annual hunt, typically do on the opener just to hang out in the blind. And so that was a good way. But I did have a good hunt last weekend. Still, not seeing the bird flight, but the birds that were around, they decoyed real nice and gave good opportunities. So, got my first bull of the year and a couple mallards and some wigeon and a speck. So it was a good day. But yeah, it's just been a little busy here. And it's hard to get super excited about waterfowl hunting when it's 80 degrees.
Yeah, this latest weather pattern really hurts. Looks like we have some rain coming in this week or Wednesday. But yeah, that's a little rough when it's 80 degrees. It's nice and cool in the mornings, which is nice. But God, afternoons, the mosquitoes at the properties are just atrocious.
Yep. But we're definitely seeing new birds coming though, so it is good to see. But we've flooded a lot of that sanctuary that we irrigated this summer, and so they're hitting that real hard. There's a lot of ducks using that sanctuary right now.
So in terms of being fully flooded for your fall, where are you at, like on a percentage wise of getting to that point? We're
getting close. So we have like 4 units right now that are finishing up, and so once we get those 4 units done, and then the rice. So we're done for the most part with harvest, a little bit of prep work to be done, but we've already started flooding a lot of the rice, and we're just waiting on the section of rice that is in the hunting area. And so that'll start hopefully tomorrow, if not, early next week, and it'll take, a week to 2 weeks to get all that flooded. But once we get the rice done and we finish up some of the flooding in Twin Lakes, we'll be pretty close to full quota.
Okay.
So we're at 65 right now. And then once we kind of finish up the rice and these 4 other wetlands, we should be able to bump up to 75 and be full. So the goal would be by the pheasant opener to try to be at that full quota. So we'll see if we can get to that. And then we have some other wetlands that we hold until later, areas that we've irrigated. They look real good. We kind of let the pheasants hang out in them for a little bit, and then we'll flood them late, and let the ducks get in there in December and utilize the water grass and some more of the irrigated food. So we do stagger that a little bit, but we're definitely trying to flood up as much as we possibly can, as early as we can, and what we have the capacity to do. So I'd say we're in a pretty good shape. There's a lot more water out right now than there was last year. And I think all in all with Twin Lakes, Twin Lakes is one that we've struggled with, and it's potentially going to be fully flooded by, middle of November. So, and typically that we're about a month ahead there.
Oh, nice. It's overall harvest this year. Is it the same from the last couple of years? Is it up? Is it down?
We're probably on par with last year. The one thing I would say is our opener, if anything, we're a little ahead just because our opener was so much better. So I think last year we shot a 4-bird average on opening day, and this year we shot a 5. And so we probably harvested, I think it was like 300 more ducks on opening day this year than we did last year. Pretty equal amount of hunters. I think last year we went through like 180 hunters on the opener. This year we were closer to 200. So we did, process a few more hunters. Our quota was a little bit higher this year than last year, but it was pretty wild. I got to the check station Saturday morning, and you could have walked on to Yolo at 11:30.
Oh, wow.
We were open. We had blinds available, free roam spots available, and it never filled back up throughout the day. So you could have shown up at Yolo from 11:30 till 3 p.m. and just walked on and gone hunting on the opener.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
So,
that's great.
Yeah.
Now, you talked about some fallow, watergrass, smartweed fields. Are those flooded, or what do those look like?
Yeah, everything in the hunting area is flooded. So all the rice that was fallow that we irrigated, all that is flooded. It was all flooded for the opener. And then we have, so on the 1,000 acre side, which is east of the blind or west of the blind area, it's about approximately 700 acres. It's sanctuary, and we irrigated the majority of that. And so we have, I'd say probably 65% of that flooded right now. And so we have one block. We'll wait, and once we finish the west side, we'll flood that up a little later. And we're finishing up the stuff on the east side, right along the blind area. So that should all be done sometime next week.
Yeah, you guys constantly kind of have new water coming on. I think that definitely helps, keep birds in the area. Was there much of a consensus of some of the private duck clubs in that area, kind of like you guys saw an increase in opening day or a number of birds, right there?
It didn't sound like the opener was all that great, especially to the south of us. It sounds like some of the clubs did okay, but just based on the few reports I got, it didn't sound like it was all that great of an opener. And where I was hunting up in Colusa, on opening morning, in between like Colusa, Refuge, and Delavan, there just wasn't a flight. There wasn't much flying between. And typically, even if you're not getting birds to use those ponds, you see a pretty good flight between the areas on the opener. As soon as the guns go off, birds just kind of scatter, and they start moving back and forth and tracking between different refuges and different private. Just didn't see the flight. So it was a weird opener, at least up there. But down here, at least on the wildlife area, it was swarms of ducks all over the place as soon as the guns went off. This is the reports I heard from staff at the check station.
Yeah, I know. I was at one of our properties on the opener, and it was okay. It wasn't, the greatest ever. But, yeah, like once shoot time rolled around, typically you just all over the region, you just hear the war zone open up, right? And it just didn't seem like it was that. It was like, pop here, pop there, but not just these big barrages of, constant shooting. It just seemed like, there was a bunch of birds there, and for whatever reason, like it got cut in half, the birds that were there during opener. And that's all part of hunting, and birds move around for lots of different reasons. But it wasn't necessarily like a typical opener, like when it's shoot time.
Yeah, one of those things you can see it too. And then it's in October too, there's not a ton flooded, right? So it's like, where are they going? The footprint isn't that big,
Yeah, exactly. And, with, the west side not having a ton of water, we, thought there'd be, more sprig and stuff kind of scattered throughout the Sassoon Marsh, et cetera. And there were some, but they just weren't really necessarily on our properties. It was kind of the typical bread and butter early season teal shoot and whatnot. So
yeah.
And some mallards sprinkled in there. So that was helpful. For the pheasant hunts, if someone doesn't have a reservation, is it pretty easy to get on if you're just trying to hunt upland only? When they start in November, it's extremely hard.
Not here, especially for the first couple weeks. I would recommend if you want to hunt pheasants, a YOLO would be put in for the lotteries. Try to get a good number in the lottery. That's your best bet. I mean, if we can get up to full quota and have 75 in free roam and then add on the 20 additional spots for upland only, mm-hmm. That creates 95 potential pheasant hunting spots. But you still have plenty of people wanting to hunt ducks too. So it kind of splits that. But so it'll be real busy. I mean, last year it was real busy. It's probably our second busiest day outside of the duck opener. Then we go to the pheasant opener. And then January, of course, is pretty busy for waterfowl once the hunting really gets better. But it's busy here. Just showing up Saturday afternoon on the pheasant opener would be very difficult to get on.
Gotcha. Good to know. I know you're a big pheasant guy.
Yeah, doing the lotteries would probably be your best bet if you don't have a reservation to get on.
Gotcha. Good to know. Well, Garrett, man, I appreciate you jumping on here, giving us a quick little update and a recap on October. And like always, hope to talk to you in the future.
Yep, sounds good, Jeff. Thank you.
I want to welcome a guest back to the podcast. Derek Seweck. He is the wildlife habitat manager up at the Upper Butte Basin. Derek, what happened during the opener? What's the Upper Butte Basin looking like so far?
Our opener was, I would say, less than eventful. Little Dry Creek did well, of course. It is Little Dry Creek. But for Howard Slough and Llano Seco, it was definitely less than eventful. We didn't really have a whole lot of birds around. Water availability was a little slow, but we got hunters out. That's what we want to do, and people got birds, and that's the best that we can hope for, really, moving forward.
Yeah. What's your opinion on some of the lack of birds? Is it late rice harvest, not a lot of rice flooded up this time of the year? Birds spread out.
We had a lot of birds just prior to the season, and I did notice, you would definitely do notice it on a day-to-day that the birds continue to come and go. Everybody started flooding up right around opener, with the rice harvest and everything, and people are pushing water. You would see those birds leave the area, and they'd be out in the rice all day, with mm-hmm. fresh flood up, people not ready, all those things put together. I think everything is just like this big conglomeration of, what's going on with the birds. There's birds around, not a lot of birds, but there's birds around. And I think they're just really spreading out right now, hitting that fresh rice as hard and fast as they can.
Yeah, we were kind of the same thing across the street from you guys where, we had huge pushes of birds. That little rain that we had and stuff kind of pushed them out. But yeah, Sanborn shot, 5 bird average on the opener, and we had a lot of birds leading up to the opener, but I would say the week of, was a percentage of what the property had been holding. And then, Butte Creek was pretty slow, where normally it's really heavy on the wood ducks, and for whatever reason, and just the harvest on the wood ducks just wasn't there this year. But I usually think a lot of that rice kind of around our area, and once it gets flooded, the birds go out and feed all night when they get on that routine, and then come back to the wetlands during the day. And just in our area, there's just not a whole lot flooded up, yet. They're still harvesting some stuff in our area, which is, here we are almost in November.
Yeah. Even on our properties at Howard Slough, the farmer hasn't even finished harvesting the rice at Howard. And he hasn't even looked at the rice at Llano Seco. So, I mean, we're into November, and all I keep hearing from him is tractor breakdown issues. And, we keep seeing piles of geese in his unharvested rice. And, it's definitely tough. I mean, we usually would see a whole lot more birds, I think. Dry Creek was on par, but we definitely would usually see a lot more birds at Howard Slough and even at Llano Seco for the opener. But it's what it is. I mean, Howard's number one bird is a wood duck, so that's kind of about right for this time of year for us.
Gotcha. Now, when does Howard or Little Dry, when does it really start picking up? And like Little Dry Creek, it seems like sometimes, the goose hunting could just be phenomenal out there.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing. A lot of people, we can get 20 snows, and I usually tell them, well, good luck seeing a snow at Dry Creek, But of course, I got proven wrong already. Somebody brought a snow goose in, but usually about November, the end of November, because you get into that November doldrum, people stop coming. They stop really putting a lot of effort in. They'll get a few good shoots throughout November, but it really, that early part of December, when all the traffic picks up, we're fully flooded. We get a lot more pushes of birds coming down. Then we really start ramping up and really start shooting a lot of birds. So it's that early December about.
Is there any correlation like later in the season when Howard's shooting good, Little Dry Creek's also shooting good, and vice versa? Or is it kind of, even though they are close, it's just completely different?
Honestly, it's a completely different world. We've seen days where Howard's on fire and Dry Creek's, shooting a 1.5 and Howard's shooting a 4. It's really amazing to see the difference. I think it might correlate to Dry Creek's more of like focused on that Butte Sink style with a lot of trees, a lot of wetlands, like contiguous wetlands put together, whereas Howard has a lot of the rice around. So Howard's affected by different weather patterns than, say, Dry Creek would be. Like those rainy, windy days, Howard just can be amazing, whereas Dry Creek's just, so-so or average. So it's definitely interesting to see, the two properties somewhat manage the same, but in different situations, they just shoot totally different.
Yeah, that's interesting that you mentioned that because, with Howard not really having a huge main close zone, I guess it would make more sense on some of those rice days where it's surrounded by rice and it's kind of a long and skinny refuge that, it could and would shoot better on some of those days. I never really thought of it like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how it correlates. We don't really have any information on it, but, having Dry Creek's close zone mostly at the north end and Howard Slough's close zones mostly all in the south end, on a south wind day, it shoot better for this or for that, or, north wind days, but we really don't see any difference for something like Howard on a north wind day of birds coming out of the close zone, or Dry Creek on a south wind day of birds coming out of the close zone. It's just, hit the birds right, I guess.
That's just it, right? It's hunting. Did you guys see any uptick in mallard harvest with the bird populations being, in the positive this year for local mallards?
We definitely have. Mallards are in our top 3 for all 3 refuges. I believe, mallards number 3 bird right now at Howard, number 3 bird at Llano, and it's our number 2 bird at Dry Creek. So, there's a lot of birds out there for sure. A lot of mallards. We saw a lot of them throughout the summer. Just all over the place. So I feel like it's going to be a really good mallard year. That's for sure.
Yeah. Once we get out of this tail end of these 80-degree days, I think, you're looking a little bit better here in the middle to late November. But any anyone hit the 3 pintail bag limit? You got many sprig out there?
Honestly, we haven't really seen it. You would think everybody's gonna be like, "Oh, I'm gonna get my 3 pintail," but it's just there was a ton of them here early in the season, and right before the season, and then we thought it was going to be 3 pintail here, 3 pintail there, and it. I mean, I think I've maybe seen it 1 or 2 times. That's it. I mean, there's not a lot of people killing a ton of birds. Most of the people coming out with a limit, it's mostly widgeon. A lot of people shooting widgeon.
Oh, really?
So,
that's cool.
Yeah,
we've had our number 1 bird on Sanborn was widgeon on the opener, and that hasn't been unnormal, but it's not like we're seeing a ton there on the off days. Even like prior to opener, I would say number 1 bird was probably teal and sprig, and kind of like you mentioned, the sprig just kind of vanished. Not really sure where they went, and haven't talked to a whole lot of people that have had the opportunity to shoot 3 yet. So a lot of season left. Obviously, those December, January days out in the rice, and when the sprig are courtship flighting and all that. I mean, those days are coming. So looking forward to that. But yeah, it's kind of like you, like, hey, yeah, we're gonna, even if it's slow, we're probably gonna have some opportunity where people come in with their sprig. But hasn't happened yet, but it will happen.
Right. You thought, oh, it's gonna be right off the bat, people coming in with 3, but no. I mean, I think Dry Creek's only even shot. They're at like 30 pintail right now. So it's, not a big number. I mean, we've got over 300 widgeon, but only 30 pintail. So, I mean, it's going to happen for sure. It's definitely coming, and I have no doubt in that. But yeah, right now I think they're just focused on that rice and everything else that's out there.
Right. Yeah. In terms of the refuges and flooding up, do you guys still have percentage of the refuges that you still need to flood up? And if so, when will all that be done?
So we have roughly about 400 acres left at Dry Creek. And that's just due to, a lot of tractor issues that we had throughout the summer, being down 1, 2, even 3 tractors at a time. So we basically just need to get in there, mow out a little bit of wetland, and then start pushing the water. We did have some pump issues that happened kind of late last year that really kind of hamstringed us as well. But as of now, I mean, that water, once it's mowed, I'm pushing water at it as fast as possible. Areas like Howard and Llano, they're more affected because we do have the rice ground on them. So those acres won't get flooded until after rice harvest is done on our property. Basically any surrounding field that's near that rice, we have to keep it dry just because of seepage and leaking. So basically when he finishes rice harvest, we'll finish pushing water at Howard and Llano. I mean, that's all time dependent on how long it takes him. Right now he's moving at the speed of slow, and we're just hoping he picks up a little speed.
Yeah, it always seems like that's the case with some of those things. And now all those rice areas, are those all free roam? Or is there assigned blinds in there? How does all that work if people aren't familiar?
So at Llano Seco, we have 4 fields that are all assigned fields. Most of Llano is all assigned fields, except for our small piece of free roam. But all the fields at Llano Seco are assigned fields. So there's 4 rice fields out there that are assigned and have blinds in them, usually island blinds. The stuff at Howard Slough, though, Howard Slough has blinds, but it is considered free roam. So as they go out there, they just go out there. First person to get to that blind gets that blind. So we have 4 blinds out there right now. They seem to be in pretty bad shape, but that's free roam. And we plan on replacing them as they go. But like I said, it's still free roam, so it's kind of the down and dirty in the muck with all the other guys. I mean, somebody could set up on the rice check right across from you, and there's really nothing you can do about it.
Oh, gotcha. And can you speak to the little the youth hunt area over there on Howard and how that works? That rice?
Yeah, so that youth hunt area is basically rice. We don't open it until December or mid-December. Usually we try and get it flooded up, get the birds in there, kind of build it like a closed zone. But it hunts on Wednesdays and Saturdays only, and you hunt until noon. So basically it does have a hard shut off, kind of like how Tule Lake is and stuff like that. But you come to the check station, access the check station, and then you have to drive, however far it is. I think it's like 5 miles or something to get down to the parking lot. And then from the parking lot down there on Afton Road, then you would walk up.
Yeah.
And we keep those that you have to have one junior hunter. You can't be a junior non-hunter. It has to be a junior hunter. And just like all of Upper Butte, it's 3 people maximum. And in those junior blinds, you can have an adult shooter, but only one adult shooter. So you can't bring your brother and then bring your nephew, and both of you guys are out there shooting. But it's basically only one adult shooter and up to 2 junior shooters.
And those are pit blinds out there, I assume?
Correct. Yeah, they're pit blinds in the rice. Yeah. Some of them share levees, but they are pretty far away from each other, far enough away so that, people can access them and, be out there. But kind of like a little closed zone usually. I mean, we sit there, we flood it up, and then it's, sits there for usually a month or more, just building geese and ducks. I mean, it's a pretty phenomenal sight to see it.
Yeah, I've seen it a few times where it's just a absolute grind in there. It's just impressive with all the geese and ducks. And a couple more years, man. Hopefully I'll be out there with my kid.
Hey, you and me both. I mean, the nice thing is it's surrounded on two sides by, Paul Bonderson's property, and then on the other side is one of our main closed zones. So, I mean, it sits right in a really, really good spot. Yeah. So, you see numbers come out of it, and it's like, oh, well, they didn't do very good. Well, a lot of juniors aren't very good shooters. It's understandable.
That's right. Yeah. The average is always hard to judge it. That's pretty cool. What about personally? You've been out much at all?
I've been out a few times. I think I'd probably count it 4 times. I got out opening day. I got out about 1 o'clock, and I did really well. I shot a limit. And then the past few times, I got invited on a reservation on Sunday. We did okay. Definitely could have done better, but it was still a good time. And then been out a couple times into the free roam, just always out there scouting, looking at what it looks like, and done pretty good. So I'm not mad at my season yet. So we're good with that.
Still a lot of season to go. Well, Derek, I appreciate you jumping on. One, I appreciate you everything that you're doing up there at work, but also appreciate you always supporting California waterfowl and specifically our veteran hunt program. We couldn't do a lot of our events without you. So pleasure talking to you. And I just want to say thanks again for everything that you're doing for us.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, man. Our December hunt draw is coming up. So November 15th is going to be our deadline for all of our waterfowl hunts in December. So definitely don't forget about that. It's definitely some of our best hunting is in December and January. Go to calwaterfowl.org to apply. We'll also have some new first come, first serve opportunities popping up at some rice blinds specifically for veterans and our general O'Banion rice blind as well. If you want to come support California waterfowl, we have some events coming up that you should know about. We have the Salinas CWA Recruitment Social November 5th. We have our Galt and Lodi Banquet on the 7th. We have our Butte City Banquet on November 15th. And then we also have our Danville banquet on November 13th. So go to calwaterfowl.org and support us today. Appreciate you. We're going to welcome our next guest, Orlando Rocha, environmental scientist out at Grizzly Island Wildlife Area. Orlando has been a volunteer of ours for a very long time, has worked in the Sassoon Marsh since I've known him, which is close to 18 years. Orlando, thanks for coming on, man. Tell us a little bit about the Grizz. What's going on out there?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Duck season's here, so that's always good, right? But
yep.
As far as bird numbers go, we're a little behind pace, but still, everybody's getting out, having some fun. We are over the 1,000 bird mark total, so 1,071 total birds shot here so far. An overall average of a 194, I believe, I think that's what it was. But opening day, which it's a good gauge on how things are going to go. Like I said, a lot slower for us. Luckily, the shovelers are here because that is definitely our number one bird at this point. But mallards right behind them. So pretty decent year for mallards here at Grizzly. We've been doing a lot of work in our nesting fields. Had a decent hatch, and they're definitely our second bird being harvested right now. So we got a couple hundred bands out this summer, so a few people seeing some of those. Hopefully not a lot of them get shot, right? Because we want banded birds to make their way around before getting shot at some point to get some of that data back. But yeah, otherwise, I think everyone's waiting for that cold snap and some weather to push some birds down. Definitely.
Yeah, that's for sure. What's a typical opener for you guys? Bird average wise, wasn't it last year or a couple of years ago? You guys had like the best.
Yeah, I mean, last year was really good. It was like a 3.29. This year, that was on the opening Saturday. Opening Saturday this year was a 1.91. So much slower, but big wildlife areas. If you're near a 2-bird average, we get a wide range of hunters. So at a 2-bird average, there's people that know they're going to go shoot their limit. And then you might have, some newer hunters, maybe not used to that wildlife area, don't have all their spots set up. They're going to be somewhere in that lower range of birds. But so not terrible, but definitely not what it was like last year. Yeah.
Because wasn't, wigeon a high bird on the take too on one of these last couple of years? Like it was crazy because like we weren't shooting very many wigeon at Grizzly Ranch, and then you guys across the street were like,
yeah, last year was a good wigeon year. This year we saw some wigeon early, but and green wings are always some of the first to show up, but they're usually here like a week or two before the opener to a month before, and then as the opener comes, they're pushing south. Pintail was the big thing, obviously with the 3-bird increase, everybody was like, "Oh man, I want to get some pintail." On opening Saturday, we only shot 5 pintail. It was...
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. We had some early on. I mean, we start flooding usually about August 15th for early migrants. And we had pintail around, but same thing, just pushed out or sat in the close zone. I'm not sure, but definitely not reflected in our harvest on opening weekend.
Now, what about like the west side of the marsh? I know you guys have some of those smaller areas over there. It just seems like it's a different world. There might be birds on the west side and nothing on the east side. Was there any difference on that side of the marsh?
Yeah. So it's sometimes a little tough over there because it's all self-reporting. But our junior unit is traditionally one of our highest averages. It just doesn't get hunted that much. So, and it shot well over the opener for the people that hunted it, but that's like, it only has 5 spots. So, it doesn't get hunted too hard, especially, just with the amount of people because it's junior required, but it did have a good average. I don't, remember that off the top of my head right now, but, The Goodyear unit, a little slow. Spoonies was the top bird for sure. So, but people still hunting it every day. The junior unit, West Family, like I was talking about, doesn't really get hunted on Wednesdays because kids are in school. So that Saturday hunt day is usually an uptick in the averages.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, it sits there all week and rests, and then gets hunted on Saturday and a little bit on Sunday. So that's why it has good averages for sure.
And that unit that borders Grizzly Ranch, can you explain how that unit works? I've always been confused on how hunters access that. It's like a first come, first serve, or is it open 7 days a week or only on shoot days?
Oh, the Island Slough unit, the borders the kind of the okay. That's a Type B area. It is just a walk on. You sign up in a little registration booth. You have to have either a Type A season pass or a Type B season pass. It is 3 days a week still. It's Saturday, Sunday, Wednesdays. It has a capacity of 30, although we don't ever see that, past the opening day. Afterwards, Gotcha. Basically, you can walk in there at any point and go hunt. Can be pretty productive, especially getting towards the backside, towards Grizzly Ranch, because it butts up to a lot of the property that you guys don't hunt a lot. So,
Yeah, we've always seen birds in there, and obviously we hear lots of shooting and things like that. But we just found it. Is it just too far away from the check station, or is it just one of those things just to provide a different opportunity and help everyone out at the wildlife area?
You mean as far as it not being part of Grizzly's Type A area?
Yeah, like why is that a Type B area?
Well, it was purchased long after the established, part of Grizzly, the Type A area. So it's a mitigation property, and it was just deemed as. I don't know for sure because I wasn't around then. But, I mean, I would assume it's just a little far enough away that it doesn't need to be in the Type A, and Type B offers the same type of hunting opportunity with a little less restriction, obviously. It's self-registration, self-check-in. But,
right.
Yeah.
And Joyce Island is always coveted for those that have drawn it. Any changes over there this year, or anything that hunters should know about before drawing a hunt out there?
There is some ongoing issues with the neighbor's levee that is causing parts of the wildlife area to be flooded. So Joyce opens the first Sunday in December, and we only hunted on Sundays, and it's just the first two ponds. It's A and B pond. It has 4 ponds. The rest are closed zones. At this point, I'm not sure exactly how it's going to go. We know A pond is definitely going to be hunted. B pond, it's going to depend on the water levels that were being affected by our neighbor. So that's going to be it's going to have to be a decision as we come. If we're still going to hunt. That's not the question. It's just how much of the acreage, and if we're going to reduce the quota from. We issue 20 reservations, so we might see that drop down, but there'll still be a hunt, and I would expect that the first few hunts will definitely be great mallard shoots in there. In that traditionally A pond is where people go to shoot some of the potholes, and we've done some mowing in there to open some of those up a little bit, and so hopefully that should help out.
It's always amazed me, not amazed me, that we don't shoot many mallards at Grizzly Ranch, even though a couple shoot days ago we did. But when Joyce Island opens, there's no influx of a flight from that area over Montezuma Slough to our place, even though they could have a phenomenal opener, and if we hunt there on, have a shoot day on a Sunday, it's just a normal, there's no flight from there. Yeah,
I think those birds, they get used to what they're doing. They're moving. You'll see them move out in the evenings to go feed and stuff, and they kind of just, besides the ones that are getting shot in the hunt area, they don't blow out because the other 2 ponds are so big and so unaffected by where we hunt. they're just kind of doing their natural thing. Yeah,
that makes sense. Well, that's why it's good mallard hunting. They're not being harassed and pushed off. Mallards like their little hidey holes, and
yeah. And I mean, Joyce, as of late, it's the first couple hunt days that are pretty good on mallards, and then it kind of just reverts back to shooting like the rest of grizzly, where it's wigeon, teal, pintail are going to be the top species for sure. So,
gotcha.
But we'll see how that goes this year.
And then typically November, like everywhere else down there, it's just kind of Slowember until the weather turns.
Yeah. Wednesday was one of the lightest hunter days I've ever seen out here. And bird, we were well below a 1 bird average. So, and we only had, I pull this stuff up. I guess I can. I think we only had 35 hunters on Wednesday.
On the entire wildlife area?
Yeah. Yeah, we had 34 adults and 1 junior. So,
gosh, we had 20 at Grizzly Ranch on 900 acres.
Yeah, pretty crazy. I've never seen it that low, but I think everybody is just doing other stuff until some more birds show up. So, and the crazy thing for us is it's not, from what I'm hearing from the surrounding landowners. I know you guys are still shooting pretty decent, but it's pockets. There's pockets in the marsh that are shooting pretty good, and then there's other areas that are pretty void of birds. Yeah, so
right,
it's kind of tough.
Now with the new mute swans being legal on Jan 1, you guys are probably one of the unique refuges that does have a population of mute swans there. Are you guys doing anything to help, let people know and ID and what's that going to look like?
Yeah, I mean, well, we have some signs up in the check station already, but the hard part about that ruling or that regulation change or law change, whatever you want to call it, that doesn't affect the wildlife area because they're not a huntable species on the wildlife area until we make that change or the department makes that change. Yeah, so on the wildlife area itself, there won't be a huntable species at this time.
And as of right now, that has not changed. So people need to know that on all state lands, because you are right. Like if you hunt the river and you see a pig, they have changed some of the species of take. But a few years ago, like if you were to see a pig on one of the Calusa units, you could not shoot it because it was not under the species of take for that unit. If it wasn't listed, then I guess I'm not familiar with any of those regs up there, but so that's going to be something for us to educate our hunters on. And that goes across the board to all the other wildlife areas, or no? Or
it's not
100%
a
sure?
species that's listed on that wildlife area's huntable species list, essentially, then it won't. It's not.
Well, that hopefully makes enforcing it a little bit better. I mean, we're just trying to communicate with folks. They're typically Suisun Marsh area, Delta, etc. Where Sacramento Valley, you're not going to see a whole lot of mute swans flying around. So people need to be very, very cautious of what they're doing.
Yeah, from how the regulations go, I mean, basically it's any private land for sure. I think there's going to be some good pictures after the start of the year, so it'll be interesting.
Yeah, well, people just need to educate themselves. We're going to put out a little pamphlet. CDFW does have one online that kind of describes what they look like, etc. But we'll see how that goes. Well, cool. Have you been getting out at all personally?
Yep, shot a few days. Shot the opener. It was pretty good. I definitely took my part of the shoveler bag and just had fun. So it was good.
Right on, man. Well, good. Well, I appreciate you jumping on today. Give us kind of an outlook of Grizzly Island, and definitely appreciate you always supporting California waterfowl and everything that you do down there for work, man.
No problem.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Save It for the Blind podcast. You can find our podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts.